frame or receiver becomes regulated when it may readily be completed. All right, well, when exactly is that? ATF supplied 8 considerations involving things like time, ease, expertise, equipment, parts, availability, expense, scope, and feasibility. Except those weren't necessarily the only considerations. The rule describes them as a non-exclusive list. And that's where the Second Amendment All-Star Judge Reed O'Connor identified a serious problem. The opinion says the determination ultimately devolves into essentially guesswork and intuition. Think about what that means. You're holding a piece of metal or polymer. At one end of the spectrum, you have raw material. At the other end, you have a completed frame or receiver. Somewhere between those 2 points, according to the federal government, that object crosses an invisible legal line and becomes a federally regulated firearm. And crossing that invisible line can bring federal firearms laws into play. So where exactly is the line? Well, the court's answer essentially is ATF hasn't adequately told you. The judge writes that determining when that material may be readily be converted is left to ATF's subjective determination and does not give citizens fair notice about when that component becomes subjective to federal enforcement. The opinion asks an incredibly simple question about when unfinished material reaches the regulated stage. But who's to say when that stage is? That's the problem. Because the constitutional due process doesn't permit the government to make criminally enforceable rules where citizens have to guess where the line is. I mean, how can you be a habitual line stepper if you don't know where the line is, right? The court therefore concluded that the final rule fails to provide appropriate guidance and is void for vagueness. And that was great, but that's only half of the ruling. Because then Judge Reed O'Connor gets to the Second Amendment.
We know it seems